Well, reality is quietly re-intruding into the discussions on what's going on American foreign policy. Hamid Karzai and Pervez Musharraf, the presidents respectively of Afghanistan and Pakistan, who have been kind of throwing insults back and forth at each other as to who's responsible for why it is that it ain't going very well. The dinner tonight, scheduled for the two of them, I think Pervez is hosting Karzai or something at one of the embassies, but it's likely to be pretty interesting in that Pervez Musharraf is publishing a book in which he says, among other things, that the CIA paid hundreds of millions of dollars to Pakistan to capture various al-Qaeda types, and that the U.S. government flatly threatened him being bombed back into the Stone Age if they didn't cooperate in Bush's war on terror. This at the same time that Hamid, next door, Karzai, the president in Kabul, is saying that if the U.S. does not stay there and pump a bunch of money and troops into Afghanistan, they're going to lose it. And he'll be back in his apartment in Paris for another 27 years. Basically, that is how it is going on. The woman in charge of the Minister of Women's Affairs for Kandahar province, they assassinated her day before yesterday. They just missed the governor of Helmand province last night in a suicide car bomb. It is not going well, folks. There is a very good chance that the Taliban and elements of other opium warlords in coalition are about to take Afghanistan back, leaving Hamid Karzai as, at best, the mayor of Kabul. Oh, what else is there? There is some good news this morning, or I don't know whether it's good news or not. You may be horrified at the result, but that bill that the Alaska senator had tried to hang up from going into effect has been passed, has been signed, is being signed today. President Bush is signing it this morning, that will create a database where you or anyone else with an internet connection can look up who's got what contracts to do what for the federal government. You want to know who's got the contracts to do the laundry in Djibouti for the Marine contingent there? They'll have the listing. It's going to be a remarkable tool for being able to comb the nits out of the process of pork barrel spending in America once it's in place and in operation. I don't know what the timeline is on getting that program set up. Apparently, the Forest Service has finally made its quota for acres burned in California, and they have sent in the serious firefighting equipment, DC-10s, that can drop about 12 or 14 times as much fire retardant in one pass as the smaller planes that have been used so far. It's been 22 days before the Forest Service finally decided to send in some of the big rigs and see if we can knock this sucker down. 230 square miles of forest burned down there. And now all of a sudden it's very important to get the big rigs in because some of the smaller rural areas of Ventura County are threatened. The Democratic Commission hearing yesterday on the situation in Iraq heard from three different generals, Batiste, Eaton, and one of the others. Either way, three generals who all testified that the situation in Iraq is FUBAR as opposed to SNAFU, and that in fact it has been a SNAFU since the start and has degenerated into FUBAR. Those of you who don't know those terms can ask your local military veteran about what those stand for. The Iraqi troop situation is going downhill. 4,000 American troops will be held in place longer than they had expected on their rotation. Another two brigades will be sent in early, starting next month, starting next week. The situation is that we are trying to increase rather than decrease the number of troops on hand, particularly to reinforce Baghdad, and the problems with getting native Iraqi troops to go from their normal bases to Baghdad for security is increasingly intense. A number of other provincial areas have now suffered the same thing. The troops simply will not go to Baghdad. Oh, goodness, man. And that's about enough news for now. I'm Travis T. Hipp on the radio on a Tuesday. Stay tuned.